Hi everyone, this is Mike Gordon here, and this is yet another perfect game let's play of Truxton. Well, sort of. I'm only playing a single round of Truck, so if you want an actual perfect playthrough represented on YouTube, there's a long play that already has one done. They did on the hardest difficulty. They beat the game 5 times. And they did it without commentary. Because that's literally the conditions for being the perfect game. There are 5 stages in total, and once you clear those 5 stages, you go to the next round, and the game just loops infinitely. Well, not infinitely, it loops 4 more times. So if you beat the game 5 more times, you get all 5 endings, and then the game ends. You go back to the title screen, rinse, repeat. Those are the conditions for a perfect game. So, what is the purpose of this game anyways? Why am I doing a let's play of Truxton if we already got a definitive perfect game represented via a long play? The reason for this is, well, first I want to explain some things. You just fire a spray of bullets for a bit, and then another again when you hold it down. You hold C to rapid fire, and then you press speed to use a bomb. There are 3 power-ups. Reds are more for defense, greens are for offense, and blue is basically for range. Blues are the best, and the blue weapon is the best of the game, provided you have it maxed out. Otherwise, I would have the green to be the best until you max out your power. If you get 5 Ps, your ship upgrades a level. And if you get another 5, your ship fully upgrades to the 3rd level. And every other 5 power-ups you get after that is basically just stock in case you die. Whenever you die, you lose 5 power-ups. Your gun resets to the red gun. Your bombs reset to 3. And you lose 5 power-ups every time you die. I chose to play this on the easy difficulty setting because even though this game is hard, it's actually much more newcomer friendly when you play on the easiest difficulty setting. On the hardest difficulty setting, you only get 3 continues. Whereas on the easiest difficulty setting, you have unlimited continues. But that's not the reason why I did it. Enemies move slower, and they don't shoot as often. There's not a constant barrage of bullets. And those bullets do not just zip across the screen in rapid fire. They're easier to... And this is called the pause trick. You press the bomb, you pause the game, and then hopefully, and then after a few seconds, you hope all the enemies are tough to kill die. Or at the very least, are gravely weakened. And the results were mixed that time. I only performed it twice more. And I got the 2nd upgrade for my ship. And the 3rd upgrade, you get 2 smaller ships to accompany you. And that's when the blue power-up becomes the best in the entire game. By the way, the red power-up sucks. forte is really for defensive purposes, but that's only after you fully powered it up. And this is actually a very easy boss, no need, as with the green gun, no need for any bombs. The only downside with the blue power-up is that it's magnetically charged to the bosses. And that can be a problem, as we'll see. Whereas green has absolutely no range but packs a punch against bosses. And red has no range, does not pack much of a punch, but when you fully power up, the smaller ships can actually shoot around your ship. And we're about to get fully powered up. And there we go. Get used to seeing this thing a lot, or pretty much almost exclusively for the rest of the game, in fact. Now, we're about to see exactly what the downside of this blue thing. There are two downsides to the blue thing. Number one, it magnetizes to enemies, and these guys specifically are drawn to you when you fire at them, especially with the blue gun. You're gonna ignore the green ones. This should be fine for the rest of the game. Second thing is they don't cover you from behind, but that's what the bombs are for. Bombs are not just used to help clear up bosses. They should be best used as a last resort. You know, either clear out enemies from behind or to clear out the spraying bullets. Because those enemies, when you kill them, those light bulb like things, the second they die, they basically explode projectiles at you. This is the reason why I'm not just sticking in the middle here, but I'm driving from side to side. So why am I playing this game if there is a perfect playthrough of this game already available online? Well, I always knew that we had some sort of space shooter for the Sega Genesis. If memory serves, I always remembered 3 games, especially those being Altered Beast, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Lemmings, because I played those games. I recalled, and it was when I got Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection for the Xbox 360 that I remembered that we also had Golden Axe and Super Thunderblade. And both my parents distinctly, quite clearly remember the game Cyberball on Sega Genesis. They both consider that to be their favorite game on the system, with Lemmings being a close second. But I also knew we had a top-down shooter, but I couldn't remember what it was. But 2 things basically told me that this confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that this was the game that we played, that my dad played when we had a Sega Genesis. Number 1 was the stage 1 music and layouts. I remembered the music and some of the images and iconography. I just couldn't pinpoint what it was. But what's ultimately sealed the deal was the cover for the game, which because of this, I decided to use the cover for Truxton as the, what do you call it? The screenshot for this video. If you type in a perfect game playthrough of Truxton, the cover for this game should appear on said cover instead of the in-game, you know, the box art. Once I saw the box art in conjunction with the gameplay, I knew this was the game that we owned on the Sega Genesis. And I even name dropped the name of the game Truxton to my dad, and he remembers the game, so I know this is the space shooter that we had. And if you want to know what all the other games we owned on Sega Genesis, they were all the other games, you know, besides Truxton, Sonic 2, Lemmings, Super Thunderblade, Altered Beast, and Golden Axe. Pretty much everything else was a sports game. My dad was really big in those. We had Joe Montana football. We had a Madden game. We had Madden. We had hockey, basketball, and golf. Interestingly enough, the only baseball game we had on the Sega Genesis was actually Tommy Lasorda's baseball, because Dad always preferred, and once again, yeah, no, fairly easy boss when you have the green. This is pretty much the only time I purposely went for a different gun, and that was because the blue power-up is completely useless against the second boss. It's actually detrimental. So I went for the green one instead. So, as far as sports games goes, I know we had Tommy Lasorda baseball. It was the only baseball game we owned on the Sega Genesis, by the way. Everything else was football, was basically football and hockey, as well as in football, hockey, basketball, and golf was pretty much it. And a racing game, but we'll get to those later. And pretty much Rainbow 3 for the Sega Genesis was basic, and Dynamite Duke are just educated guesses on my part. Like, we probably owned those games on Sega Genesis. I'm unable to officially confirm. I can't officially confirm that we own Rainbow 3 with my mom and dad. We can't collaborate that, but I'm unable to collaborate, so really it's based entirely on possibly the Mandela effect, if anything. So yeah, I'm only gonna play one Madden game, one Joe Montana football game, and we never really got anything past Christmas of '92. That was when we got Lemmings and Sonic 2 for the Sega Genesis. For all, my sister Amy had just turned 5 and was approaching 6, and I was 2 years old at the time. So it wouldn't surprise me if Lemmings and Sonic 2 were basically gifts for my sister, for the two of us more so than for themselves. And I can also confirm beyond a shadow of doubt that the first couple of games I'm doing Let's Plays on were all games that my parents must have bought on a whim with the Sega Genesis. My dad had beaten Sonic 2 Altered Beast, and I definitely remember Altered Beast. I don't remember anyone ever beating Lemmings or Super Thunderblade. Not that one can remember anybody being Super Thunderblade, because the ending is just the end credits and then the names and then the name select screen. Truxton, you can't record high scores or anything like that. Alright, I can't really deal with 5 of these guys spraying bullets and spinning around and shit, so I just used a couple bombs to take them out quickly. Yep. And no, I'm not going to be beating this game 5 times. A single play session of Truxton is probably a half hour at the absolute slowest. So playing through 5 rounds of Truxton to get all 5 endings, only to be hit with the game over screen as soon as the credits roll, thus ending the game permanently, really is not worth the effort if you want of doing a live commentary for, much less putting in the extra work. And you get to kind of see why it's such a hassle to deal with the bosses while you have the blue power up. But on the bright side, I have bombs to take care of. I got to use a couple bombs in order to take care of the small fry while I dealt with the boss of this stage. So it's not a big loss. It is kind of a shame though that the bosses of Truxton are for the most part pretty easy, especially if you have bombs in store. The only exception is the final boss. But I'll try explaining that when you get there. By the way, the enemy, the big bad alien thing that you see on the box cover for Truxton is the final boss. Her name is Dogurava or something like that. She's the alien queen who has brought the human race to extinction, and a space fighter named Tom piloting this ship called the Super Fighter is the only hope for humanity. About as stock of a plot for a space show as one guess, but the 5 endings sort of confound me a bit. You know, the first one's sort of understandable. It's, you may have won this round, but we'll be back kind of deal. So, just keep going at it. The second ending, you know, Tom returns to the space station, meets his girlfriend, and there's this weird flower thing on his shoulder. Don't know what that's supposed to be. So I can only really assume that flower thing on his shoulder is some sort of Easter egg for referencing another game that the company behind Truxton, which I don't remember their name, but I do know that they are currently no longer in business. But they probably closed their doors a long time ago. They are responsible for a ton of mediocre shooters for the Sega Genesis, the most infamous being Zero Wing, which never got a release outside in the US, by the way. So I'm honestly So Truxton is actually one of the few games the company made that found its way on US shores. Okay. That was actually very tricky, getting all that while avoiding the green and red power-ups. You move fast. I mean, your ship just moves fast. And I literally cannot do live commentary of this game. Sorry, that would cause a ton of lag that would make the game virtually unplayable, and I would be screwing up constantly in this game if I had to talk and play at the same time. Space shooters basically require your full attention, even the mediocre ones. Honestly, this game is kind of fun as an introductory to this genre. It is pretty fun. My favorite space shooter of all time is probably Galaga. I used to play that game a lot at Casa Bonita's, and I uncovered a secret arcade room and found that they had Tekken 2 in the arcade. And man, Tekken 2, what good memories I had with that game. Not just in the arcade, but on the PlayStation. That was the game that made the switch from the Sega Genesis to the Sony PlayStation somewhat worth it in my eyes. And then future games like Crash Bandicoot and Final Fantasy VII would ultimately validate the PlayStation as a must-have console and a superior piece of hardware in every way to the Genesis. Alright. Enemies coming from behind, so just use the bombs. And I'm ignoring the red one because, yeah, this is kind of the only boss in the game where you are better off just with the blue gun. And I think I end up... Do I use another bomb? No, I don't. So yeah, even though I used a couple bombs to deal with those enemies, it really... Ultimately, I was just better off sticking to the... I don't know what would happen if you don't kill the bosses by the time you get to the end of the stage. I'm guessing you just move on. Because there's only one boss that basically forces you to stop. And here we are, the final level of Truxton. And that music tells you that you are in for a world of hurt. But on the bright side, at least the last power-up in line there was a blue one, so I gotta keep my blue gun. Now, this stage has some really trollish elements. Everything from bullets spraying at you to asteroids flying at you, and if you have the blue gun, you get the biggest kick in the ass you can imagine for if you have been overly reliant on the blue gun. Enemy projectiles in this stage actually change color from the orangish red, which is a good reason not to use the red power-up, to a light blue that camouflages with your blue power-up. I kid you not. It makes it extremely easy to not notice enemy fire, so you end up dying and you have no idea what the hell happened. At this point, the stage makes it abundantly clear that they want you to use the red ship for this part. Even though its range sucks, its damage output sucks, and the only use it really has is for defensive purposes, because those little ships off to the side will surround you, and so that any enemies or objects that come near you die upon getting close to you. That literally covers the enemies from behind as well as enemies that surround you. But it also means that your only hope is to basically move back and forth, left and right constantly, which could actually leave you vulnerable to getting killed by enemy fire. Pretty much the only things you don't get in this stage that are a pain in the ass to deal with are those light bulbs that explode and can kill you. And in this game, like most other space shooters, it's one hit and you're dead. But on the bright side, you don't actually have to worry about running into walls or anything of that sort. Because there are no walls. Just the invisible walls at the top, bottom, far left, and far right of the screen. And we still have quite a bit more level to go. Now, even though I'm not going to go for a perfect save file of this game, I will at the very least show you all 5 endings. There is a cheat code which is much easier to perform than the stage code select code, which basically involves you inputting all the directions the exact same number of times and do it fast enough. But with view ending, it's much more convoluted but much easier to perform. And I will get to that in a bit. Now at this stage, I actually try to perform the pause trick again a second time. I don't really get a whole lot accomplished. I don't really know what causes it to work and what does it. And what does it causes it to fail or succeed. I'm guessing it's length of time, but I do know that this works very consistently on all 5 bosses. And I'm gonna show you soon enough. At this point, you might as well just use whatever resources you have, but don't just spam use all your bombs. You want to be frugal yet effective with your resources, like all good space shooters. But at this point, you don't really need to worry about saving bombs, because when you get to round 2, in round 3, round 4, round 5, when a new round starts, your bomb count resets to 3, and your gun reverts back to the red gun. Now here comes the final boss, Dogorava. You can only hurt her when her mouth is open. Once I saw the damage flash, I unleashed a bomb, performed the bomb trick, wait for a lot longer than the past couple times I've done it. And then, just like that, and once I unpause, she will be dead. Just like that. And that's pretty much it. That was my 30-minute playthrough of Truxton. And I'm going to actually show you a bit why I'm basically going to start over and just do the level select code. No, not the level select code. Get the cheat code that shows you all 5 endings. And that's my proof that your gun resets and your bombs reset. Now on the stage select, this is what you need to do. On the title screen, you have to hold A, B, and C and then lightly tap the start button. When the difficulty selection text appears, you release A, release B, hold A, release C, hold B, release A, hold C, hold A, release B, release A, hold B, release C, hold A, release B. That is completely insane. Like, why do you have to make the cheat code that allows you to see all the alternate endings so bloody convoluted? And here's the second ending. Ball's ended. Tom returns to the space station, where he meets his friend. Yeah, this means absolutely nothing because this game really has no story, has no real story, just an objective. Save the human race by defeating the alien queen. And the third ending just shows the enemy's stats right there. Well, the bosses more specifically. I don't know why Dosfem of all bosses happens to be the easiest boss in the game, but Dogurava, because of the mouth thing, is actually the hardest, which is why I performed the pause trick. This one is a Tom, I am your father type of ending. And based on the way Tom's father is dressed, it makes it seem like Dogurava, after you defeat Dogurava, became human again and revealed himself to be Tom's father. And then this is probably the more definitive ending, where Tom flies away and the planet Dogurava and those other alien hordes came from explodes, and then credit rolls. So this is my Let's Play of Truxton. If you want to see an actual playthrough going through the whole game in all 5 rounds, I will put the link in the bottom, and next time will be a Let's Play of Tommy Lasorda Baseball. I will try to achieve a perfect game there, as well as win the World Series. So, see you there next time. Take care.